Okay, what's the sampler that's the mpc60 and sp1200 and a few other maybe samplers killer is the Gemini DS824 or 1224. Basically the same thing. Let me just turn this around. So what this is something I hated the first time around in the early 90s when I tried it, because the sound quality at that time was shit. And I didn't have an appreciation for 12-bit at the time, as I did know I liked the sound of 12-bit, but I didn't look at this as a 12-bit possibility. So all these years later, in late 2020, I rediscovered these, and they used to come in the mixer form as well. So these sampler portions were embedded in DJ mixers as well, which recently I've had. And there's a reason I didn't like Gemini, and a lot of people talked crap about Gemini at the time, is they really did make an inferior product in a lot of ways. Whether it was a shitty turntable, belt driven, whether it was a DJ mixer that the crossfader stopped working very fast, or even crackled on all the lines, or whatever it was, right? They just weren't built well. But for some reason, they're built like friggin' tanks. And the difference between these and the 60 or an Akai S612 is there's no filter on the output. So what I mean by that is the 60 and the S612, and maybe some other units that I'm not aware of, on the output, the master output, it has a filter. Those two samplers have a filter. So that's why the 60 sounds kind of dull. And I've owned one and I think it sounded dull. That's my estimation. That's how I feel. I like the sound very much, but I did find it kind of flat. These don't have that filter. And I'm not the only person who thinks this way about the S612 or the 60, because for the S612, there's a filter defeat kit. So you can install that and get the full sonic range, the full frequency spectrum that these can offer without that filter. I mean, I bought this one for $80, and I think that one for $80. And yeah, I don't see them around as often these days, but the reason I like them, I don't care that there's no sequencer. I don't care. There's no way to edit this beginning and end of the sample. There's no way to edit the sound, normalize it, anything like that. It's all very basic samples. So you throw something into it, either through a line or even a phono input. They even have a ground. You can use a microphone and sample that. And yeah, sample it right in, nice, dirty, and raw, and sample it back into either a DAW, or like I like to do a lot of times, put it in my MPC Live. So I get the full sequencing and arrangement and effects of the live, but with true 12-bit. Like honest to God 12-bit that has those highs, and those highs. I'm nerding out right now about these things, but the highs that 12-bit creates that you don't hear in those other machines because it's filtered, they're just wild. There's so much energy to them. There's life in them. I don't know. I love it. So I will always have at least one of these. This one's up for sale on Reverb right now. Even though it's beat to shit, it'll still probably go for a decent price. You can see it's got a hole in the knob, and it's missing a few caps and fader sliders. Now look at this. They made it so that it could be mounted. As far as I know, you can't put the two of these together and put them in a rack, as far as I know. So where the hell else would you mount this? I guess in a DJ club or something, they would put it in the table, set it in the table or something. I don't know. Anyway, I love the look, I like the aesthetic, and I love the sound. The controls, like I said, are very sparse. It's very simplistic. I don't even know that this does anything. Honestly, I've been trying to figure it out. I haven't been able to. So the way I've been working it is, it doesn't matter what I'm putting in. I can control the volume of whatever I'm putting into it. But in terms of gain on this unit, there's nothing for the input. So what I think it does is it auto normalizes it. That's my guess. It's so, and then everything that comes out sounds, if this signal's loud enough, everything that comes out is, like I said, it's probably normalized and is a really good volume, a good working volume. Yeah, there's a huge noise floor, but that's what these are. I mean, that's part of the charm, right? That's part of the deliciousness of it. So I'm not going to do any sound in this. This is just a talking video. I'll make another video for the sound comparison, pre-sample and after making it 12-bit. And so what I've started doing is taking things like my ER1 and sampling the individual hits into it to 12 bits, and I have those recorded now. And also a bunch of loops. So basically it comes down to about 70 loops that I made and about 30 hits or effects sounds. And they're all 12-bit now. I have them recorded. And they're in formats that can go in my DAW, MPC Live, Ableton if I used it. I don't. I use Acid. And so I don't know how to release that 100 samples. I'm on... I do have a page on a Bandcamp if you want to see that. It's Compute Function. And I'm thinking about releasing all the loops and the samples, all the 12-bit stuff I made on Bandcamp, maybe as one package or something like that. So yeah, and that's, wow, what a drum machine. Let's just take a sec to say that. What an amazing thing. Part of the recordings I did to make the ER1 with the Gemini is I pass it through this filter as well. So I didn't manipulate the filter as I was recording the sample. I just set it to one setting and left it there, and it was passing through there. And yeah, 12-bit goodness. So there you go. They're not better than those classic machines I mentioned. They're not even the same thing. They're not comparable. What they are to me is the perfect, and I mean the absolute perfect substitute financially, space-wise, build quality, sound quality, and usability. What I didn't mention is the pitch control, so you can record. This is usable, and I didn't, I do know what this function does as well as this, but I mentioned I didn't know what this meant or does. But this one I do know. So I was, doing the interpolation, testing that to see if it worked, and I don't know if it did or not. So what I was doing was recording it at 100, regular input, and then on the playback, hit it on the much lower pitch. And even for individual hits, it's nice. I recorded my own voice in it and then used it in a track. That was cool. It sounded like VHS kind of, so there's a real cassette quality to it. The hiss that is before and after the samples, when I'm sampling into this, I took some of that noise, and that's even an individual sample that I like to use. It, you can layer it in the background or use it the way you want. It's an absolutely incredible machine. And so right now you can get them used probably for $50 to $100, whether it's this style or in the mixer, doesn't matter. It's 12-bit. There's also another place you can get these, somebody who sells them a new version of this, and they're claiming they're 8-bit. They are not. They're 12-bit for sure, and they're beautiful. But yeah, I think the person selling the new style, they're out of the UK. And they're basically the same unit. And I mean, what's not to like on this thing? Look at how robust it is. Look at the size of that. I mean, things light up. There's LEDs. You can flick switches. It's got faders. Anyway, I could go on and on about this thing, but that's good for now. So watch out for the sound video, like sound comparison, like I said before. The video I'll make about that coming up. And thanks for watching.